The window was open and one silver cufflink near bed, still warm. I don't wear cufflinks, but her boss does. That night, I smiled, kissed her goodnight, and started planning a revenge so brutal it would leave careers in ashes and secrets rotting in daylight. My wife, Emily, said she'd been working late that week. Lots of deadlines. She was sleeping early, skipping dinners with me. Real cold and distant, but I figured maybe she was just tired. You tell yourself lies like that to avoid the real gut punch. But that cufflink? That was the trigger. I asked her about it when I got back home later that night. She didn't even hesitate, said it was mine, must have fallen off during laundry. I said I don't wear cufflink. Her eyes blinked twice, and that was all the truth I needed. So the next morning, I took the day off work and started digging. I checked her laptop when she left for the office. Password was changed. That was new. So I waited. She came home early that evening, told me she was getting sick. I asked to borrow her phone to order food. She hesitated, and in that hesitation, her whole facade crumbled. She handed it to me like a hostage negotiator passing over a weapon, slow, eyes low. First thing I noticed? A messaging app one didn't recognize. It was some office chat platform. You know, one of those Slack knockoffs they use for professional talk. I opened it. There it was. A whole thread, weeks of messages between her and Greg B., director. Greg B., as in Greg Benson, her boss, a guy I shook hands with at last year's Christmas party, guy I invited to our 4th of July barbecue. He drank my beer, complimented my grill. He was sleeping with my wife, in my bed. One message from 3 days ago. Can't wait to have you again tonight. Hope your husband doesn't get home early like last time. I swear my heart stopped. My hands were shaking so bad I nearly dropped the phone. I don't even remember what I said to her. I think I asked her if she'd been using our bedroom, and she just nodded like it was normal. I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything and just walked out. I slept in my truck that night in a Walgreens parking lot. Next day, I called the one person I knew who'd want to destroy Greg more than I did, his ex-wife, Madison. They divorced 2 years ago. Rumors were he cheated on her with multiple women at work. She got almost nothing in the divorce. He had a shark for a lawyer, cleaned her out. Well, turns out Karma has a phone number, and I got it. I called Madison that night, told her what happened. She didn't even sound surprised. Just asked, did it happen in your house too? I said yeah. In my bed. She laughed. Classic Greg. I asked for her lawyer's name. She didn't hesitate. Mitch Lawson. He hates Greg's guts. He'll take your case for sport. I called Mitch first thing the next morning. I told him everything. And man, I didn't even need to sell it. He said, oh, I remember this guy. Let's make his life miserable. Turns out Mitch had kept tabs on Greg for a while. Guy's got skeletons in every closet. Affairs, NDA payouts, even some shady financial stuff. Mitch told me if you want revenge, you came to the right place. After the night I slept in the Walgreens parking lot, I woke up to the smell of stale upholstery and the realization that my life had just cracked wide open. I hadn't cried. I hadn't screamed. But the silence sitting with me in the cab of that truck was louder than anything else I'd ever experienced. My phone buzzed. A message from Emily. Can we talk when you're ready? I made a mistake. I didn't reply. Instead, I grabbed coffee from a gas station, stared at my reflection in the restroom mirror, and told myself I wasn't going to be the guy who begged for loyalty from someone who'd already sold it. I drove to my cousin Marcus's place. He's no nonsense. Straight shooter. Hates liars and cheaters like most people hate cold coffee. When I told him what happened, he didn't even flinch. Just opened the guest room and said, stay as long as you need. And if she shows up here, she's leaving with fewer teeth than she came in with. That was Marcus's version of love. While staying there, I kept my head down and started gathering everything. Screenshots, photos of the cufflink, copies of the chat thread between Emily and Greg. I needed to be calm and methodical. Mitch, Madison's lawyer, was my next move. If this thing was going nuclear, I wasn't going to throw punches, I was going to build a case. I called him the next morning, told him everything. Mitch didn't say much at first. Then he said something I'll never forget. Greg Benson. Now there's a name I've been waiting to take apart. Turns out Mitch had dealt with Greg before. A civil case from years back. NDA payouts, silent settlements. Nothing criminal that stuck, but enough to tell Mitch this wasn't some one-time affair. This was pattern behavior. Greg was a serial manipulator, someone who thought charm covered his tracks. Mitch said, get me everything. And don't talk to her. Don't threaten. Don't warn. Just collect. Let me handle the damage. I spent the rest of the day combing through old devices, looking for anything I might have missed. Emily had backed up everything to the cloud, and she never thought I'd look. I found a folder labeled Work Docs. It was full of personal photos, hotel rooms, receipts, private jokes. One video had them laughing in our kitchen. My apron hanging on the hook behind them. I didn't cry then either. I just saved everything. That evening, Emily called again. This time, she left a voicemail. Said she was sorry. Said she felt overwhelmed. Claimed Greg manipulated her. Said it meant nothing. I forwarded the message to Mitch. He texted back, perfect. She just admitted motive. 2 hours later, Mitch sent me a list of next steps. I had homework now. Print everything. Make 3 copies. Label it chronologically. This wasn't about revenge anymore. This was structure. structure. This was war by process. Then came the surprise. Madison called me out of the blue, said she had news. Greg wasn't just sleeping with Emily. He'd been doing this for years, multiple co-workers. He even had a separate apartment downtown listed under a Shell LLC. She sent me photos from her private investigator. Greg with another woman, different night. This guy never learns, she said. Mitch added that to the file. By the time the binder was done, it was 2 inches thick. Everything categorized, color-coded, timestamped. We were building a foundation to bury them under. Then Emily texted again. This time, it was different. She said she was pregnant. That stopped everything. I froze, stared at the message for 10 minutes. Then I showed Marcus. His only response, whose kid? I didn't reply to her. I didn't ask. I called Mitch. We test everything, he said. If she tries to use that as leverage, we make sure the truth is verified. She begged to meet, said she had paperwork, ultrasounds. She showed up at Marcus's door the next morning with a manila envelope and puffy eyes. I didn't let her in, just stood at the screen door while she cried. Please, just look, she said. This isn't just about us anymore. I flipped through the envelope. Fuzzy images. No name, no date, no proof. I asked, does Greg know? She looked down, said nothing. That was enough. I walked back inside. She screamed through the envelope at the porch and sped off. Mitch called it. She's panicking. Don't let her guilt you. She's trying to reclaim control. We filed for divorce that afternoon, but we weren't done because Greg still had his job, still had power, still had the illusion of respect. So we lit the fuse. Mitch compiled everything into a clean summary. We printed it, packaged it, added one ultrasound image and a cover note that simply read, to Greg Benson, Director of Sales, might want to explain this to HR before someone else does. 2 days later, Greg was terminated. He called me. Blocked number. You think this is over? He said. No, I replied. I think it's just getting started. Mitch didn't waste time. Within 48 hours, he sent the evidence package directly to Greg's corporate legal department. He also forwarded it, just for good measure, to the head of HR and the CEO's executive assistant, marked confidential. It wasn't just a legal attack, it was tactical, psychological, the kind of move that makes the air in the boardroom feel thinner by the minute. 2 days later, Greg got called into a compliance review meeting. By noon, he was escorted out of the building. Fired. Terminated with cause. No severance, no NDA hush money, no soft landing. And I didn't hear it from Emily. I heard it from Madison. She called me laughing. Guess who just updated her LinkedIn, she said. Greg Benson open to work. While Greg's career burned, Emily was unraveling in slow motion. I hadn't gone back home. She texted me constantly, called from different numbers. One night she left a voicemail sobbing about how she'd do anything to fix things. Then, a few days after the corporate axe fell on Greg, I got a fraud alert from my bank. Someone tried to access my account 3 times. I called the bank. They confirmed it was an attempted password reset. IP matched our old house. I called Emily. She answered fast. Where the hell are you? She asked, voice shaking like she thought she still had a right to know. I didn't engage. I asked why she was trying to access my finances. She stammered, said she was confused and just needed to know where we stood. I told her we stood nowhere. Then I hung up and locked every account down like it was Fort Knox. New bank, new passwords, new everything. Mitch said she's panicking. She knows she's losing the war. He was right. Next morning, Marcus, my cousin, texted me. Said someone was at his door asking for me. It was her. Emily, standing there in sweats, crying, holding a manila folder. I told him not to let her in. She left it on the porch. Inside, a pregnancy test and a few blurry photocopies of what looked like doctor notes. No names, no dates, nothing tying it to me. Just a vague threat disguised as hope. I didn't bite, but I knew one thing for sure. Greg didn't know about it yet, so we told him. Well, Mitch did. He mailed Greg's company a nice, neat envelope. Inside were screenshots of the affair, the pregnancy test, and a voice recording from the night Emily confessed. He marked it with a post-it note. Thought HR might want to see this first. Greg's response? He called me. Blocked number. Why are you doing this? He asked. I said, you did this. I'm just making sure everyone sees it. Click. Days passed. Then the dominoes really started falling. Madison reopened her alimony case. Greg's new wife found out. And she was not the forgive and forget type. She showed up at my job, introduced herself, polite and professional, then pulled out her phone and said, I have videos. I have screenshots. I have receipts. She added, let me help. So I gave her Mitch's number. 3 hours later, she filed for divorce. Emily lost her job the next day. Someone leaked the affair to her HR rep, and her company also had a no fraternization policy. Go figure. I hadn't seen her in weeks. Then one night, I was pumping gas when I spotted her. Old Civic, hair tied back, eyes sunken. She didn't see me. She looked like a person halfway through her own disappearance. Later that night, she texted, said she was staying with her sister, said Greg wouldn't speak to her. He said I ruined his life, she wrote. No reply. Then Madison called. I found something, she said. She was digging through old tax documents and found something strange. A consulting firm Greg ran on the side. Dummy invoices, fake trainings, untraceable payments, and Emily's signature on one of them. $6,200 billed for a non-existent client event. We sent it to the IRS. Game on. The moment we submitted the documents to the IRS tip line, I expected silence. I figured it might take months. I thought our revenge would go cold. But less than 5 business days later, Mitch's office phone rang with a call from someone inside their criminal investigations division. They didn't beat around the bush. We've had eyes on Greg Benson's side business for a while, they said. Your tip filled in some critical gaps. Greg was officially under federal audit. Within 72 hours, 2 of his bank accounts were frozen and his consulting LLC had its license suspended pending review. The same man who used to laugh over grilled steaks at my house was now spending his days drowning in IRS paperwork and deposit record scrutiny. But Greg wasn't going down alone. Emily's name was all over those invoices. Co-signed payments, email trails with her writing, notes approving client travel that never happened. And now the IRS wanted to talk to her. Mitch didn't even have to move. She came to us. Exactly 6 days after the audit began, she called Mitch's office directly, asked him if he could explain her legal vulnerability. Mitch didn't sugarcoat it. You're exposed, he told her. You may want to stop talking to me and hire a criminal defense lawyer. That same night, she called me. Not sobbing. No apologies. Just cold and mechanical. Can we talk? I agreed, but only in a public place with security cameras and foot traffic. We met at a coffee shop near a courthouse. She walked in looking like time had drained every ounce of color from her. Her eyes were bloodshot, lips chapped, hands shaking as she clutched a folder. She didn't try to hug me. She didn't try to sit close. She just handed over the folder. Inside was a notarized statement, a declaration that she had only submitted those financial records under Greg's direction, that he manipulated her, that she feared retaliation if she refused. I looked it over but didn't speak. Finally, I asked, why me? Why bring this to me? Her voice cracked just once. Because if I go down, I want to make sure he goes down first. I closed the folder, didn't take it, just stood. You're not a victim, Emily. You're a co-conspirator. And then I walked out. Mitch moved fast. He filed a request for full divorce acceleration citing financial entrapment and spousal fraud. On top of that, he requested a temporary restraining order based on her attempted access to my bank accounts and the fact that she continued contacting me despite being told not to. Emily didn't show up to contest it, but Greg, he tried. His lawyer sent a cease and desist demand claiming our investigation was harassment, that we were interfering with a private business. Mitch laughed out loud reading it. This is the sound of desperation, he said. They know the walls are closing in. Then came the big turn. The FBI reached out. They weren't just investigating Greg for basic tax evasion. Turns out, several of Greg's invoices had been billed against government grant programs. Programs involving startup incubators, minority business loans, even international development initiatives. That made it federal. The IRS referred our information to the FBI's white-collar crimes division. Within a week, Greg was served with a federal subpoena. The agents seized hard drives, took phones, interviewed his staff. Emily was next. This was the moment she flipped. She turned over passwords, printed emails, personal messages, even banking apps on her phone. She admitted she helped Greg falsify records, forge expense reports, and create dummy vendors. Claimed he pressured her. Claimed she was scared. Mitch called it what it was. A strategic confession. I called it something else. Too little, too late. Now she's a named cooperating witness in the investigation. But I don't care about immunity deals. I don't care about reduced sentences. I care about something else entirely. Reputation. While the feds build their case, I've been busy with my own kind of closure. I pulled every screenshot, every call log, every receipt, compiled a timeline, organized the affairs. I created an unlisted website containing everything. The cheating, the banking, the wire transfer. Password protected. Quiet. Not public, but very, very shareable. Why? Because if Emily ever tries to rewrite history, I'll have the final draft. Madison helped. Greg's second ex-wife helped. Even his former assistant reached out anonymously with a burner email. Said she'd been scared to speak up, but now she was ready to blow the whistle. She forwarded copies of emails Greg sent instructing her to log false meetings. She sent voice recordings Greg bragging about using Emily as a shield. Emily didn't even know about that part. I saved it all. Greg thinks this is about court dates. Emily thinks this is about guilt. They're both wrong. This is about legacy, and I plan to make theirs unforgettable. Court was packed, not with reporters, not yet, but with eyes. Some curious, some nervous. A few connected to Greg's old world, maybe colleagues, maybe former clients. The room smelled like dust and anxiety. I walked in with Mitch by my side. He had a thin leather folder, half an inch thick, filled with documents that could raise a reputation in under 5 minutes. Emily showed up 10 minutes late. She looked worse than last time. Greasy hair in a rushed bun, shoes that didn't match, no wedding ring. I didn't look at her. Mitch told me not to. No eye contact. Let her feel invisible. Greg came in shortly after. Suit jacket a little too tight. Tie crooked. His new attorney looked 30 and terrified. Probably didn't realize he was signing up for a federal swamp. Greg tried to meet my eyes. I didn't blink. The judge opened with announcements. Our motion for protective order. Financial claims. Emily's counterclaims, emotional hardship, housing insecurity, and a bizarre accusation that I had manipulated her into job loss. Mitch didn't say a word until it was his turn. Then he stood, crisp and clear. Your Honor, before we respond to those claims, we'd like to submit recent evidence that renders all current requests void. He handed over the first packet, a copy of Emily's signed testimony to the FBI, then the tax filing, then the co-signed invoices, and finally, the paternity test. There was a moment of complete, perfect silence. 0%, the judge said, reading. This test was performed independently? Yes, Your Honor. Court-certified lab, chain of custody confirmed. Emily's eyes went wide. Her lawyer hadn't seen it. She tried to interrupt. The judge raised a hand. Ms. Taylor, this invalidates every every claim based on shared parenting or emotional spousal obligations. Furthermore, this court takes paternity fraud seriously. You submitted sworn documents under the presumption this man was the father. Emily tried to recover. I didn't know for sure. I mean, he was there the whole time. And that makes it worse, the judge said. You benefited financially, socially, and emotionally from a lie. Greg shifted in his seat. He was sweating. His lawyer whispered something, but Greg ignored him. He looked straight ahead, lips clenched. Mitch wasn't done. Your Honor, we'd also like to enter Exhibit C, he said, dropping a flash drive onto the clerk's table. A series of voice memos and emails between Ms. Taylor and Mr. Benson indicating coordinated attempts to mislead this court, conceal financial misconduct, and alter public perception. The judge plugged in headphones, listened to the first clip. We waited. She took them off. And the plaintiff is aware of this? She asked. Greg didn't move. Mitch nodded. He will be now. Then he turned to Greg. Mr. Benson, Mitch said calmly, your name appears on multiple wire transfers to Ms. Taylor under pseudonyms. You claimed no personal connection. These messages contradict that. Greg blinked once, then again. Then he stood up without permission. This is entrapment, he barked. They set us up. The judge stared him down. Mr. Benson, sit down or I will have you removed. He sat. Emily looked at him now. No more chemistry or alliance. Just quiet betrayal. The judge took a breath. All current motions from Ms. Taylor are denied. Financial requests dismissed. Custodial claims invalidated. Mr. Benson, a separate fraud investigation is underway. This court will not impede it. Mr. Taylor, she turned to me, you are granted full asset protection and injunctive relief. Mitch stood. Your Honor, one more. He opened his final file. Inside, a notarized demand for restitution, emotional damages, legal fees, fraud compensation, misattributed paternity costs, itemized brutal clean. The judge nodded. Case accepted. Civil court will take it from here. As we packed up, Emily broke. She stood, stumbled forward. You're really going to ruin me. I looked at her. First time in months. You ruined yourself. I just filed the paperwork. Outside, Mitch smiled for the first time in weeks. She's going to feel this forever, he said. I nodded, because finally, I felt nothing at all. A week passed after the courtroom. I didn't hear from Emily, not even a fake apology or a late-night text pretending to forget how everything collapsed. Greg had gone completely silent. No social media, no legal filings, no word from his new lawyer. Mitch told me that usually meant one thing. They were working on something desperate behind the scenes. Then came the letter. Plain envelope. No return address. Slipped under my apartment door late at night. I picked it up slowly, turned it over once. My name was scrawled across the front in a shaky, nervous hand. Inside, one photo, printed on regular paper. Blurry. A parking garage. Greg and Emily leaning into each other, whispering. A timestamp 3 nights ago. After the hearing. After their public meltdown. Attached was a note. They're not done. Thought you should know. A friend. I called Mitch immediately. He was calm but sharp. We lock everything down. They're trying to reset the board. We stay ahead. We traced the photo. Security footage. Found the garage. Cross-checked the timestamp. It was real. They met secretly. Emily had lied to the FBI. Greg had violated his bond term. Mitch made 2 calls. The next day, Greg was arrested for obstruction and violating a sealed investigation order. Emily? She went missing. No one had seen her for 48 hours. Her sister filed a missing person report. Her phone pinged twice, once near the courthouse, once near a train station. Then it went dead. I wasn't afraid. I was suspicious. That same night, I got a message from an unknown number. Just one sentence. Check your safe. I hadn't used the fireproof safe since I moved, but I checked. Inside, under my documents, was a burner phone. One voicemail. Emily's voice. You were right. He used me. I used you, but I never thought it would go this far. If they come to you, tell them I didn't run. I'm not guilty, just scared.